this evening. We're thrilled to have everyone joining us today. Let's see, where's that noise coming from? Here we go. Okay. Most people are muted right now. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to unmute. You can also put a question in the chat box if you would like. We're more than happy to take questions this evening, but if you don't want to speak up, just go ahead and put those questions into the chat box. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So let me officially welcome you to the PAC webinar this evening. We're thrilled to have you. The lay of the land is we're going to spend just a couple of minutes here talking about PAC. For those of you that may not be as familiar with PAC, we'd like to just get some of that info out, and then we will have our guest speaker join us, who we're thrilled to have this evening. So let's go ahead and get started. What exactly is PAC? PAC is really meant to bring a higher level of care to the pet care industry. It's meant to make pet care centers safer places for people to be, for pets to be, a place that pet parents can really trust and know that the people working in that pet care center or in that pet care business have the knowledge that they need to have to run a safe and healthy business. And the way that we do that, just like a lot of other professions, is through third-party testing. So when somebody decides that they're going to become a PAC professional, they will take let's see, we've got some barking there. It took care of it. There we go. So just like many other industries or professions, whether you're an accountant, whether you are, I'm an audiologist in my other life. I studied for an exam. I took a third-party exam, and I'm licensed to practice audiology. So the same thing, but for the pet care industry. Pet care professionals will study for an exam, take the exam, and pass the exam. And that way, you know, they have that really good base knowledge. We are a nonprofit. Almost 100% run by volunteers. So what is third-party certification versus certificate programs? There is a big difference between the two. And at PAC, we always encourage any type of learning. We love certificate programs. There's so many quality certificate programs in our industry from many different areas. So certificate programs are vital to keeping the pet care industry knowledgeable on latest trends, latest thinking, things like that. But it is very different than third-party certification, and the difference is very important. I'm not going to go through all this. It's too late in the day, so I just highlighted a couple of them. But when it comes to third-party certification, PAC is not selling any sort of materials. You study and you get your knowledge, your learning from outside sources, and then you go to an exam, a place to take exams. Jamie, what is the word? A testing center. Sorry, I think 5 o'clock is late for me too. You'll go to a testing center and you'll sit for the exam. PAC doesn't administer the exam. It's administered by another company called PTC, and you'll be sitting alongside people who are taking that accounting exam, that audiology exam, those sorts of things. So you'll go to a testing center. Whereas a certificate program, usually if there is a test at the end, you'll do that from, sitting at your desk at home. or even at your place of work. I will add to that though, since COVID, there is an option to actually not go to a testing center, and you can take the exam remotely. So you can actually take it from home, but it is monitored. And that is something that can be set up for you if you prefer to take the exam at home versus a testing center. Some other differences is we do require some level of professional experience depending on the level. So we have 3 different exam levels: provider, manager, and owner. So depending on the level that you're taking, you need a certain number of hours in the industry in order to sit for the exam. You can't just, walk out of your job, in marketing or whatever that you've done for several years, take the exam and be PAC certified. You actually have to work in the industry for a certain period of time. We went through that. It's awarded by a third-party standard setting organization. And I think another big differentiating factor is the fact that it has ongoing requirements for continuing your education. You don't just sit for the PAC exam and then you have the PAC certification forever. Every 3 years, you have to submit CEUs, which indicates that you're continuing your education in the industry. So typically in this section, we talk about why PAC is important to your business, but we do have pet parents on here tonight. So I thought I would talk a little bit about why PAC is important to pet parents. A lot of people don't realize, but the pet care industry really has no standard regulations or education required to open a pet care business. I think a lot of pet parents make assumptions that there are certain things that you need to do in order to house any number of dogs, but in many areas or in most areas, there really is no standard regulations. And so you're really relying on that pet care professional to obtain knowledge. Nobody else is dictating that to them. So it can be very hard for pet parents to figure out who is qualified and who is not. And PAC is really a way that you can find someone, pet parents can locate somebody that they know has invested their time and a little bit financially to further their education and to make sure that they have the knowledge that they need. If you're interested, if you are a pet care professional, you're interested in taking the exam, our next exam is in November. You have to register before October 12th. If you are registered for the exam or you're even thinking about it, join our Facebook study group. It's a great way to start gaining knowledge and talking to other people that are also interested in taking the exam. Stay in touch with us. So if you go to Facebook and type in PAC or Professional Animal Care Certification Council, will come up. You can also go to our website. Please note the website just has 2 C's, PACCERT, PACCert.org. And feel free to reach out to us any way you like. Thank you so much for listening to that. And we are going to welcome the star of the show today. So we actually have 2 people here from Natura joining us. We have Serge Traylor, who I'm sure, Serge, you've spent half your life saying it's Traylor, not Taylor. So I know that's been hard for me to remember. So we're welcoming Serge Traylor from Natura, who's the marketing director, and also Tim Petch, who's the VP of sales. So we're really excited to have both of these people joining us today. And just one thing I just have to put out there, there's a lot of steps that goes into putting together these webinars. And I know personally, when I'm thinking about making an investment, either in my home, if you're here as a pet parent, or in my business as a pet care professional, it's not only about finding the right product, but it's finding that right vendor that's going to call you back, that's going to be responsive. And I will say, Serge has been the easiest person to work with. really, met every deadline we asked them to. And I just think that that's a testament, because this is not your money maker here, Serge. This is something that you're doing to get the word out. And you've just been so responsive. I appreciate that. And I'm sure that that translates over to your business. So I just wanted to add that there. And enough of me. I am going to stop sharing my screen, Serge, and you can go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Jess. It's great to be here with everyone today. Thanks for taking a little bit of time to learn about what the options are as far as keeping your pets healthy, safe, whether it's at home or at at your facility, your pet facility. So, as you mentioned, my name is Serge Traylor. If I'm going to a restaurant, my name is Steve Taylor. A lot easier for people to remember. I am the marketing director here. I've been working with this company, which is called Grassworks, is the name of the company, but Natura is the product that we have that's specifically for dogs. I've been working with Grassworks now for a couple of years after being in agency life, and I worked at Energizer Batteries for a while, but brought all that accumulation of knowledge to Grassworks, and we launched Natura, a little over a year ago. Right about the same time we brought in Tim Petch, who's also here with me today. Tim is our VP of sales, and he's got a storied career working in the pet industry before we were able to lure him in as well. So Tim will be my sidekick as we go through this today. But one of the first groups that we met when we launched this product was PAC, and it was such a great relationship right out of the gate, just because I at the same time was becoming a pet parent or a dog parent for the first time. We adopted a Bernese mountain dog named Floyd. You'll see him, he'll star in this later on. But it was good to know that there are organizations out there that are helping people like me know what questions to ask of where we're taking our dog for boarding and for daycare and things like that. So personally, it was a great fit, but you guys have also been fantastic to work with and learn from. So thank you for the partnership. So today we're going to talk all about creating a great outdoor space. Again, whether this is for your home or if this is for your business, but what is a great outdoor space if you have dogs? I would assume that most of you have a place outdoors that looks like this. Anybody that I know that has dogs of any substantial size or number has an area that you've just given up on. It's just mud, or you hope it's just mud now, but you just can't do anything with it. And so we saw that time and time again. And when you have a spot like that outside, this is what you have on your pup. If you're lucky, maybe even worse. And that is going to come into the house. And again, I learned firsthand bringing Floyd in the springtime here or in the winter. It's a good 5-minute routine to get his paws cleaned off before I want him walking around the house. Because if I don't do that, I get this all over the place. And neither my wife nor I like to clean the floors a whole lot, and this just made it a bigger challenge. So I'm assuming if you're on here today, that image of the yard, the image of the dog, the image of the floors, you're nodding your head. You're like, yep, that's exactly what we have. So when you've got all this mud, the dogs are going to track it in. Some of the dogs aren't even going to be real happy about you cleaning their paws. That's one spot we're lucky. Floyd kind of likes the attention. But I'm assuming for a lot of people, cleaning the paws is a complete chore. Then your backyard, it's uninviting. If it's a business, maybe you're not real excited about inviting new customers to come back there to see where their dog's going to be running around. And let's be honest, mud isn't always just mud, right? There's other things that could be mixed up in that the dog's bringing in. So up until now, you kind of had just a set of things you could do to fix that. Some people were going out and resodding annually, or maybe even more than annually. Whether that's going and getting it yourself and doing it yourself in the backyard or bringing in the landscape team. We've seen people pave everything, concrete, cement, whatever it is back there, pavement, just do whatever you can to get on a hardscape. Use rock, use gravel, use mulch to cover up those areas. Maybe you've gone with one of the traditional turf systems. Those have a lot of different layers to them. Usually it takes a couple layers underneath it before you can get that in. So that can be quite expensive, not to mention just dollars, but time. We've seen people buy secondhand turf. Maybe you're lucky enough to be in an area where the football team at the high school is upgrading their turf, and you can buy a swath of that. But that market isn't always there and isn't always available for you. And it wasn't designed for your yard. You're just kind of laying it down there. And then let's face it, sometimes you just put up fences or other things to keep dogs out of certain areas of the yard. And so you're really kind of confining their space overall. And so when we saw all these, we're like, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And then we kept thinking about the problem about how it actually impacts the health and the safety of the dog. And so this is from about a month ago. I'm looking to see if it actually even has a date on here anywhere. It didn't have on that exact one, but it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit here outside of St. Louis, Missouri. So we took a thermometer out and said, okay, well, what is that if you're on a hard top? 95 turns into 133 degrees when you're on a blacktop. Imagine that difference on a paw of a dog. We then took that same thermometer and put it over on where our product is installed, called Natura, which is what you see on the right-hand side. And it was 104. So was it hotter still than outdoor? Yes, but significantly less than a hardscape. And we start putting all these pieces together, like we've got something here that really can help people care for their pets a little bit better. And we knew there had to be a better solution. And if you're a dog owner, you first and foremost want your dog to be safe. You don't want to have to do all that excess cleaning. You don't want to have to worry about what happened yesterday as far as weather. Can you let them outside? Like I'm looking out the window here in St. Louis right now, and it's getting ready to pour again. And I know when we take Floyd out to the park across the street, it's going to come back muddy. So he'll probably be going out in the backyard on our turf. You want a good looking yard, and you want simple maintenance. You want to be able to do any of this stuff very easily. So let me tell you a little bit about what this product is and how this might be able to be a solution for you, either in some small spots or even a larger area of your yard. It is what we're calling a hybrid turf. So imagine the ability to put down a synthetic turf and have real grass, real vegetation, even real weeds grow through it. So you have the two of them together. And depending on how much grass grows through, which depends on your climate, depends on sunlight, depends on how much traffic it gets, yada, 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 that turf might actually even kind of disappear in time because the grass could overgrow it completely. So you get a nice little foundation. Let me walk you through what that means a little bit more. So we call this turf reimagined, and it's a lightweight hybrid turf. So you can see on this image on the right, it comes in a roll. And it truly is lightweight. Like any of us can pick this thing up and carry it and put it down where we need to, and you unroll it. And it allows the vegetative growth, the grass, to grow through. Talked about hybrid turf. The whole idea here is it's natural plus, it allows natural plus the artificial piece that we're putting there as a protective layer. And this product is designed specifically for pets, whether that's for home use or for a more of a commercial usage. We have thought about the recipe of what this plastic is so that it can withstand the friction and the claws of a dog, but at the same time, still allow the dog to be a dog and smell right through it. And you can tell in this photo here a little bit more how we call it perforated. This is part of that lightweight design. They can actually smell the earth right through it. So I've mentioned Floyd. He is quite a hound. He loves to smell everything. And on a turf like this, he can smell right through it and kind of still get his bearings of where he is. Here's a closer image from the underside to give you an idea of kind of how that perforation works. It's about 50% open for for liquids and sunlight to pass through and for things to go back up through it. And then here's a cross section. Once it grows, you can see kind of right in the middle where there's a line of the artificial turf. It's not real evident anymore, but you can see the manufactured line in there and how it seeds below and grows right through.
Hey, Serge, back to that shot, you mentioned a little bit about protective layer. And you see on the lower level that seed that's growing, when the turf is there as protective layer, that means that the dog's paws are not digging in, taking that seed up, taking the root out, and it allows it to continually grow through. Unlike when it's not protected, it takes that seed and the root out, and that's why you have mud 100% of the time, because it's not allowing that seed to continually and perpetually grow through that layer. And it's amazing how fast Mother Earth takes over, and those seeds and the grass just kind of build up around our turf, and after a while you won't even know that it's there.
So just to kind of show a little bit more about how that works, truly you just have these tufts of Natura with the gap in between for the grass that can grow through it because of the sun and the water that does pass through. The turf acts like a little bit of a blanket. If you know anything about germinating seeds, they want some warmth. It actually kind of helps with that. You can seed a little bit earlier in the springtime and a little bit later in the fall if you're in one of those areas, because it does help the ground stay a little bit warmer. I don't want to oversell that. It is not a big blanket, but it is an extra little piece that does help. And as Tim mentioned, it protects the crown of the grass so it can regenerate. So our product also works if you don't want grass to grow through it. Here's an installation. I mean, this shows you what it looks like when it's been laid down, and you get a nice grass look, a nice green look, consistent look, even if you don't want to have the grass to go down there. One of our early installations, they said, I don't even want to deal with the maintenance of continuing to mow over it. So they put down about 2 inches of sand and then staked the product into that. And now they have a yard that looks similar to this without any grass growing through it. So it works that way as well. But it really just lays right on top of bare ground or on top of the sand. And you can install it yourself. You saw those rolls earlier. They're lightweight. So Tim and I, we went out to Indianapolis, 4 months ago, I think it was, and we installed it. And we were installing about 300 to 400 square feet per hour. So it goes down pretty quick. The trick is just lining up the seams. And once you do it, we provide little stakes that you can anchor along the seams. You see the stakes there. But this is really your tool set that you need to be able to install Natura. The trick is get the ground nice and level, make it bare first. You can seed it or not, that's up to you. And you get some anchors, you get a hard rake. That way you can help first smooth out the area. And second of all, you can put it into the turf and give it a nice tug, like if they were installing carpet in your house, how they would pull it and stretch it. You do that, it's going to lay a little bit smoother. And then it cuts easy. You just need a regular pair of like household scissors to cut this thing to shape. So just to showcase real quickly just how that installation works. Tim, I'm going to let you talk about this because this is actually your backyard. But you can see here how this can kind of transform it. And then the next slide will show you what it looks like today.
Yeah, like Serge said, I've been with Grassworks and Natura for about a year now. And certainly when I saw this product and saw it on paper, I said, gosh, this looks great in theory, but I really wanted to get out there and try it in my own yard and see how it worked with my own dog. So you can see on the far left there, right outside of my patio, the high traffic area where the dog's paws cause a lot of traffic. It was mud, dirt. It just wasn't growing. On the middle shot, easily to install. Basically, rolled it out flat. It cuts very easy with scissors. Very easy to form around, sidewalks, form around trees, form around benches. Very easy to cut and shape them around many different things. All I did was lay a little topsoil down, a little grass seed on top, and on the far right, just put it down very easy with a mallet with our biodegradable stakes. So we recommend they go in about every 18 inches. Make sure you get the corners and the sides down good. And it was that easy. I would say that little area there maybe took me a couple hours. I would say half of that was the prep for the ground, just as much as the time for unrolling and installing the Natura turf. And hence you can see the result. I planted in October. This was the spring later. Right now, people come over to visit me. They can't even tell that it's there. As I said, Mother Nature takes over very quickly, grows through, secures the yard, and just looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's probably worth bringing up at this point, because usually people ask, like, well, what do you do with it after it's done its job? Do you take it back up? And no, you actually just leave it there. Tim mentioned earlier how it kind of protects the crown of the grass, so that when there is wear over this, it's actually still working for you. But you can just see from this one image here that it does basically disappear. I mean, if you really wanted to zoom in right in the center, you could see a few spots where you can see more of the turf. But for the most part, as you're scanning across the yard, you wouldn't even know there was a reinforcement there. So again, now you go from, see if I can back up. You go from this image on the far left where you had a bare spot, where it was getting walked on, walking out the off the patio, to having green grass there. So as far as maintenance, just like anything else, you're going to want to remove the solid waste. But anything liquid, it's going to pass right through. And if it didn't pass through the way you want it to, you take out a hose and you help it through. It's just going to go right down to the dirt down below. You can seed if you want to have grass grow on it. You can seed it before you put Natura in. And then whenever it's recommended in your climate to seed again, spring or fall, you can seed right over this, overseed it right over top, and it'll fall through the perforations and it will continue to help more grass grow annually. You decide what you want to seed it with, depending again where you are. What you're seeing here is 3 different images. We've got this on our website. Unfortunately, I can't make it work here on this webinar, but you can slide these back and forth to see on the left when it was installed. The center image is about a month afterwards, where you're getting tufts of grass coming through it. And then when the maintenance person came back by and mowed later on, how they just walk right across it with a mower. It really is pretty easy. And then the only other thing we say is just inspect it every once in a while. Those anchors can come up. If you're anything like we have here in St. Louis, you may get moles or something like that might push up part of it. You're just going to keep an eye on pieces of that, but it's pretty low maintenance overall. And it's also very durable. It's lightweight, and it's lightweight for a couple reasons. We wanted to make sure we had a product that was easy for anyone to be able to use. But we also know that even the most durable surfaces, you could put down a concrete pad, it can crack. Our product, if and when it does get ripped because of usage, because you drag a gas grill across it, because your dog is incredibly aggressive, whatever the case may be, all you have to do is cut out that one little area and replace it with another little patch. It's that simple to repair it and move on. And it might cost you $10 worth of product to repair it. So it's really quite easy. But what we're showing here on the left is what we typically show to dog daycare places. And I know there's a couple of you on this call. So the expectations probably make sense to you. Where the traffic is the highest, if you've got 40, 60, 100 dogs going out into your exercise yard every day, that first spot when they come out of the gate, out of the building, that's what's going to wear down first. It is a plastic product. So it's going to wear in time. We expect that is going to wear down in about 2 to 3 years if it has that really high wear. But again, it's very simple to cut it out and put in a new piece. Then you've got that next area that should last you more like 3 to 7 years. And then anything that's low traffic, and that's really what would probably apply to most of you who are pet parents for your own homes, it's going to last 7 years plus. And really the plus, it all depends again on where you are, how much traffic you have. We've been creating and making different kinds of turf at Grassworks now for, 50 years. And we've got some product that's been around 10, 20 years now in different types. So we've been making different kinds of turfs, whether it's turfs that are used for doormats or turfs that are used for other kinds of applications for quite a while. So we've got some pretty good confidence that you're going to get good usage out of this if you have a low traffic environment. So what really matters, right, is what about the dog? And the thing that we find that they love the most is they can smell the earth right through it. They walk up and walk over it with their nose down just like they would anywhere else. That's kind of like when we see that we've really hit the nail on the head with this, is the dogs really don't see anything different. It's soft and it's secure to their paws. It's comfortable to play and sit and lay down on. First couple trade shows we had, people would touch it. They're like, wow, this feels a little stiff. I don't know if my dog would like it. And so my challenge was always, all right, take off your shoe and step on it. And it's always softer than what everyone thinks. And we have seen dogs that do avoid it at first. You know, it does feel a little different than blades of grass, but so far we don't have any that are like, nope, they didn't take to it. You are keeping the dog's paw off the ground. So you are reducing the amount of dirt, mud, and even bacteria that may be accumulating on their paw. In this case, the turf kind of does act like a doormat. You know, it helps kind of scrape some of those things off their feet, especially if you have it close to a deck or a patio or something like that, where that's going to be like the last place they're going to be walking before they jump into the home. And then as we showed earlier, it's cooler to the touch. And there's my boy Floyd down there on the bottom right-hand side. So kind of wrapping things up here, you can get real grass to grow through it. We think that was really kind of the big difference of what we are compared to any other kind of ground covering that's out there. But just as importantly, as we've found here, dogs smelling the earth through it really is an important thing for a lot of dog owners, but also for a lot of dogs as far as keeping them happy. You know, when they're keeping their minds active, they're not getting another kind of trouble. It's easy to install. As I mentioned earlier, if you have a really small spot, you can put this down to cover up like a little patch area, or do that in a couple of different spots. Or this can also be purchased in really large rolls that are about 45 feet long, and you can cover large areas. And it's really easy to maintain. So now you can enjoy your dog. You don't have to have all the different mess that goes along with it. You know, you get a chance to really love your dog and not have to worry about, does my yard look horrible? And it's going to last you for multiple years, again, kind of depending on what your situation is. A little bit less for dog daycare, boarding places than home, but all of them still would be a very good payback for you. So that's what we have to say about introducing you to a new kind of hybrid turf. You can check us out at natura-turf.com. You can see photos of installations we have done here in St. Louis, but also nationally. We've got a couple of videos out there as well about how to install it. And then a lot of what you're just seeing here, if you want to go out and just kind of look for more information about the product. But Tim, anything that I didn't cover that you want to touch on before we open it up to any kinds of questions?
No, Serge, I think you get all covered. You know, again, we launched this in the pro market where we thought it would get the most testing, 50 dogs running out per day. And we saw a lot of the customers asking about it. So we decided to launch it in a consumer perspective also for the backyard, because they have many of the same issues as the pros do.
Great.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. I've got a piece of the product in my hands. I'll just show you the best I can on the camera. If anyone's looking at the camera, kind of blurry.
I think you need to get closer to it. Yeah, there you go. That's
Yeah,
good.
there you go. So you can kind of see. I'm trying to figure out how to kill my blur here. All right, that's gonna be better.
There we
So
go.
you can kind of see how easy it is to manipulate it. Again, just scissors cut it. Give you
Great.
but yeah, so that's what we've got.
Okay, Serge,
Any
we got
questions?
yeah, we got a bunch of questions actually. Before I get to the questions, I just wanted to insert the CEU code for anybody that is PAC certified. Get your pens ready, and I will repeat this again at the end if you miss it. But the CEU code, and I'll put it in the chat. The CEU code is C as in cat, 220061. I'll give it to you one more time, then I'll put it in the chat. CC 220061. So we have some questions in the chat. You can also unmute yourself. If anybody would like to, if your question's a little more long-winded, you can unmute yourself. And then I had some other questions that were messaged to me. So why don't we first, does anybody have anything that they want to unmute themselves for right now? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, at least until after the next section. Okay, so let's start with, you mentioned that it's very easy to self-install, but we're not all self-installers.
Right.
If somebody doesn't want to install it, but is interested, who can they contact to install it for them?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, so first of all, I mean, it truly is so easy a marketing guy can install. I mean, it's that easy, but I understand. Yeah. So you can talk to almost any person that you bring out to do your landscaping, and show them the product, show them the installation guides that we have online. They should be able to pick up how to do this pretty easily. It really doesn't take much to figure that out. So I would say if you've got a relationship with anybody who does landscape, probably someone who focuses more on turf, because they'll understand how to like level the ground and stuff like that. But that's where I would go first.
Okay, great. Another question is, we get a lot of hair stuck to our turf in our facility. How does this product do with large amounts of hair? And also, what do you use to clean the turf?
Yeah, so let me take the second part of that first. A hose and water is really all you need to clean this. Doesn't mean you can't use other solutions if you're looking to sanitize and things like that. But the design of this, you can really just wash everything right through. That does also go for hair. Now, there's gonna be times you're gonna have large clumps of hair, and there has not been a tool designed beyond the hose yet to extract the hair from this. But Tim, I don't know if you've ever had that challenge come back to you from anybody who's installed it. I know I haven't.
No, we haven't not even heard that.
They have tuft issues.
No, we haven't heard any of that yet. Not that it may not happen. And I'm going to guess, since it is a hybrid turf and it works with the yard, that it helps work its way down into the ground naturally and erode itself as it goes in.
Yep.
But no, we have not heard that problem at all yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like maybe Mother Nature might help with that.
Exactly.
How
Right.
things were intended to be
Right.
to be done. Okay, great. And then this is an interesting question. It looks fantastic for level areas. What about install on a hillier space?
Yeah, great question. On a hill, it's actually even going to give you a slight additional benefit, and that is erosion control. So it's okay to put it on a hill. It's going to help keep the soil in place. What you want to avoid is an area that is just totally up and down constantly. You want it to be level, meaning that you don't have the peaks and the valleys. No, that's where you're going to get the gap between the turf and the ground, and it's not going to act as well as it could or as it should. And if you're growing grass and you're mowing over it, that's when wheels are going to dip down and you're actually going to encounter, potentially an issue of the blade getting too close to the Natura blade itself. Typically a lawnmower blade is about 2 to 3 inches off the ground. Our blades are about 3/4 of an inch. So you've got plenty of gap there. Typically, unless you've got a lot of little bumps and all that, that's where you could run into some issues. So hills are not a problem. And actually, I think you'd see a slight extra benefit, but it all depends on how much of a hill you're talking about.
Tim, was there something you wanted to add?
I just added when you do lay it, not to have any like holes or gaps, because certainly water will, accumulate in those holes and potentially make some erosion issues further. So making it level as you can when installing it.
Great. We have a number of Canadians on our webinar today. Is this something that you can get even if you live in Canada?
Tim, I'm going to let you and Stephanie take this one.
Yeah, actually, Stephanie has been a great advocate for us and great help. And we're actually working with, what would that take to get up in Canada and developing a model behind that. We don't have a official distributor. When I say that, somebody who, warehouses and potentially, consolidates it to get into the country. But yeah, with all the requests we had and through Stephanie's help, we're trying to work through that right as we speak.
Great.
And if you know anybody who's a distributor in Canada, we would love to talk to you.
Stephanie, anything to add from your end? Stephanie?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Okay, good. I don't have anything necessarily. I know that it's been a bit of a work in progress, and Tim and I have been working very closely to really try to figure out the logistics on how to get this product into Canada at a similar cost. I mean, recognizing as Canadians, we have to pay more because there are duties and taxes and all of those types of things. And I get that, brokerage fees. But Tim and I are trying to figure out a way how to get this into Canada, simply because with the seasons that we experience, I mean, almost every kennel has what we call mud season, and it's deplorable and it's awful, and they don't experience it in Florida. But every, October, November, and every March, April, May is mud season. And of course, our costs rise exponentially with bathing products and the labor taken to clean up all the dogs and things like that. So I guess I look at that and I'm excited about the prospect of getting it into Canada. And Tim and I are going to continue to work on that and hopefully have some type of resolution. Maybe if I shoot for the stars in the next month, because if that happens, then Canadians can start and hopefully get it in before this upcoming winter. And that's my goal from a Canadian standpoint. And as a partner with Natura, is to try to get this into the Canadian market so it can be installed before, that October, November timeframe that we're all working against. So I'm very excited.
And
Thanks,
if Stephanie wants something done, she will get it done. So this will this is on the recording. It will happen. This is kind of, I'm skipping your question for a second, Chantel, because this other question seems to be related, but someone asked, what about a distributor in upstate New York or Michigan?
Tim, that's you.
We really don't, but there's really not a need to. I mean, we're manufactured in the USA. We have based in St. Louis, Missouri. So we basically can ship directly to anywhere in the United States right from here. Okay. Certainly some of the shipping fees, vary depending East Coast, West Coast, more center. And we all know our shipping rates change daily, depending on what's going on in the world. But no, we have a full warehouse facility here, very efficient with shipping. And at this point, really don't have a need for a distributor partner.
Got it. Great. And then cost per linear foot.
Yes. And I'm going to caveat this by anything in this world, the more you buy, the less. But if you're buying one roll, just a starting point, just to kind of put it in perspective, it's about $3.45 per square foot. Our typical, what we call pro roll, is 3 foot wide by 45 foot long. It comes with 100 of the anchors that come with it, and that's for $460. So that's kind of the base cost, just to put things in perspective.
Okay. Any other questions that people wanted to ask? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself if you want. One thing I found really interesting about your product, my husband and I owned a pet care center for 10 years, and we fancied ourselves amateur turf installers near the end because it is quite costly to install. And we actually got really good at it and would do the entire process ourselves. But the one thing that we had to hire people for was moving the turf because it was so heavy. Even if we were doing just a really small area, and in fact, I have some installed here, just a really small area, you need 4 strong people to move it around. So that's what really dinged in my head is when you said it was lightweight, that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, it's about 1/3 of a pound per square foot.
Yeah, wow.
So, if you've got our pro rolls 133, I think, square feet, I think that total weight is in like the 40-pound range. Maybe a
Wow,
little less than that. So
that is huge. That's huge. Yeah, sold on that alone. And then another question here, are there wholesale opportunities if we use and like, sorry about that, if we use and like the product? We retail a lot of our existing products to our customers that inquire about recommendations.
yeah, so we have a referral program. Anybody who purchases, who is a pet facility, and then you want to pass along a code for others to buy, there is a way for you to either earn dollars off your future Natura orders, or for us just to bank some money for you. And once we hit certain thresholds, we actually write you a check. So yeah, we are glad to scratch your back if you're out there promoting it. So that information is on the website too.
Great. Okay. I don't see any other questions. I will repeat that CEU code. It's CC220061. Oh, we have one more question here. How do you put it around tree bases or play equipment that's in the ground?
So if you've got something in the ground, there are a couple ways to go about that. The easiest is to simply just bring out some shears or scissors, and as you're rolling this thing out, just cut in from the nearest edge to that point, and then you can kind of anchor it back down. We ran into that on this install that Tim and I did in Indianapolis, where we had some posts right in the center, like fence posts, and we had to work our way around that. And you just cut in from the side. That's the easiest way to do it. The other thing you can do is, if you can move it, so I don't know, swing set or something like that, that may not be anchored, it's just heavy and setting in there. If there's a way you can temporarily lift it, you can lift it up, slide the turf under it, set it back down. You can even like cut like a little X just right where that leg's going to go right back down. And then it can just sit right back in there. But probably the easiest way to go about it is just simply make a cut in from the side, and then just anchor that down with those anchors that are provided. They're biodegradable anchors. They're going to last for about 3 years. Hopefully by then your grass has more than done its job of securing it. But we recommend these kind of anchors over metal stakes or metal staples. Again, really for the health of the pet. We don't want dogs cutting themselves on it, or humans. We had our CEO slip and fall and impale his hand on one of those, and that was pretty much the last time we ever used a metal stake around here. So we include those purposefully.
Great. All right. Well, I tell you, this has been very informative, super exciting product. Number one, thank you so much for doing this event for us. Number two, thanks for being such a great supporter of PAC, believing in our mission, and just wanting to better the lives of pets, better the lives of people who work in the pet care industry. And your product is definitely an important piece of that. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Serge. He'll be happy to chat with you.
Yep.
All
you can
right.
reach out to
Thank
me
you guys
direct.
so much.
Thanks.
Recording will be sent out. There was a question if the recording will be sent for others to view. It will absolutely be sent out to everybody that registered, and it will be on our Facebook page in the next 24-ish hours. So look for it there. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Yes, thank you.